welcome to, or welcome back to our very bookish channel. My name's Amanda, and Jen and I started this channel together where we have all kinds of bookish content. So if that's something you're interested in, please click that like and subscribe button. It is free. In today's video, we're gonna be talking about a book that is not coming out until I think September. But it is an author that Jen and I both love, and we were able to get advanced reader copies. Thank you to NetGalley and Crooked Lane Publishers for gifting us the opportunity to read this book early because
Hey guys, we are talking Spider to the Fly by J.H. Markert, and here are my thoughts after I read it. Obviously, we're huge J.H. Markert fans. We have read several now. When I first discovered and read The Nightmare Man a couple years ago now, I loved it. I love the way he writes. I feel like he has very interesting ideas, and they're definitely in the realm of like a horror and thriller that, as you guys know, I especially love, and Amanda loves to dip into that genre as well. Amanda, I think, might be a bigger fan of J.H. Markert, not that it's a contest, but she definitely gets really excited for his books, and she even read another one by him that I have not read. I think it was called Wicked Games. For this one, I definitely enjoyed it, but I did struggle at certain moments. This one follows Ellie, and she is a true crime author. She becomes obsessed with the I-64 murders because she sees one of the victims look very similar to herself. And she starts to investigate and deep dive into the details of the murders of this case. She ends up finding out some things that I don't know how much I want to say, because there are many details I feel would ruin if you know going into this book. Some of those same details, I feel there was almost too much going on. And I know a lot of his books are like that. He has a lot of characters. There's a lot of details that keep getting thrown at you as the reader. And those were the parts that I kept struggling with throughout the book, when I feel I had to keep thinking like, wait, who is that? Wait, who is... So that part wasn't as enjoyable. I don't know if it was just me. Sometimes it's the mood I'm in when I'm reading it. But overall, when everything came together at the end, I really feel it's a solid book when it comes to it. I would say it's like a horror thriller. I don't feel like it's in one specific genre. I know Amanda had said to me she thought it was more in a thriller genre, but there's so many times in this that I feel could have easily slid into more of a horror genre. That's why I feel like it might just be like a mixture of both. She thought it read fast, and I do feel like it was on the faster side, but like I said, I did struggle at moments, and that made me want to put it down. I hate when that happens in books, and I ended up putting it down to read something else because it was making my brain hurt. Now, there are days when I come home from work and I'm just exhausted and my brain is already overloaded with so much things from work. And it's the time where you want something that's not going to tax your brain. We've also been reading a viral book for another segment that we're doing. And I think that's why I enjoyed that book so much. And that one is Lights Out by Navessa Allen, and it just has a whole other vibe to it from this. And I do like balancing dark with a lighter, but even Lights Out has murder in it. But I feel like it was easier to digest that one when you have an overloaded brain. And this one I feel like needed more attention, and I think that's why it was making my head hurt when I would try and read this after work. I ended up finishing it on a day off, which I feel went a much smoother, and I was able to follow things much better. So I do think that's It was more me and not the book when it came to when it was stopping me. The other weird thing is, and I don't know if I just read these books so much that my brain has been tuned into looking to see who is a killer or who might have contributed to something you're trying to figure out. But early on in the book, I remember thinking, oh, that person is gonna be who it ends up being. And I ended up being right. And then I thought, once I realized I was right at the end, I thought, oh, wait, is this book predictable? But I don't know if I would say it's predictable. There are so many details that even if the person is predictable, which a lot of people might do the same thing that I do, which is guess the person, I didn't guess like all of the plot points. And there were many things that as you get some twists and turns, there were many things that made it even more enjoyable. So I don't know how much that matters, but I was surprised that, and I want to say why I thought it was who it was, but it would ruin it, especially if you want to read this. So I can't say why I thought it was the person that it was. Though I really, really, really want to talk about that. So I have to text that with Amanda. If you haven't read J.H. Markert yet, I don't know if there's a specific one necessarily that I think, oh, you should start with this. Nightmare Man definitely is a good one to start with. I think even if you started with this one, it would still be a good book to start with him. You definitely can see as he's written over the last few books that I feel like he is really getting better, especially with the details and plotting out everything that's happening. There are a lot of details. There's a lot of things to keep track of. And I honestly feel like his last one was my favorite one. And I'm forgetting, of course, the name of it as usual. So I will put it on the screen. I feel like for whatever reason at the time, maybe my brain wasn't overloaded with work at the time, because I do feel like he still had a lot of details and a lot of characters, but I feel just everything that happened in that book, it just not only pulled me in and it didn't take me long to read, I just feel like it was just a well-rounded book. Everything just ended and I felt like, wow, that was a really great book. So it was just the vibe that was giving me at the time. And I think this one might have just had the curse of hitting me at a time that work is just making my brain hurt. And I want like escapism, and I want things that's not gonna make my head do much more than it needs to. So I think that's just what's happening at the moment. And another thing I want to say about the details in this book, some of what I liked that I thought was a little inventive was how he portrayed the murderer, who they call the spider, and the fact that he literally uses spiders, and who the fly ends up being in the game that's happening. Oh, I'm being careful because I don't want to ruin it for anyone, but I feel the details of how he wrote these characters and why they do what they're doing did work out really well. I feel like it was well thought out and is also horrifying. It's just horrifying to think about what the people who were murdered are going through and how they're being murdered and what he's using. That's why I thought it definitely can slot into the horror genre. They keep saying that he is the heir to Stephen King, and I only read a couple Stephen King, but I can see some of what he does in the plots and the terrifying things. I can see why they keep mentioning that he's the heir to Stephen King. He's not as prolific though. These books are relatively short. They're just around 300 pages. So it definitely feels like it goes faster than a Stephen King novel. So those are my thoughts on Spider to the Fly. It comes out in September, which is a fair amount of time away. Definitely put it on your fall TBR. Hit the one to read on Goodreads. And once it comes out, I think it would make a great book for fall right into Halloween, because it's definitely horrifying.
Now I have read all J.H. Markert horror books, and this newest one is Spider to the Fly. So I mean, that title already, creepy, right? So creepy. But this book, you guys, I don't know how he comes up with the things he comes up with, but it is so like creepy. There wasn't a lot of body horror in this book. It wasn't very gory, and some of his books are. So just be careful with that if that's something that you're sensitive to. But this book was so good. It read more to me, it read more like a dark, twisty, mind-bending psychological thriller. It was very suspenseful and it just kept me guessing. And I don't know if that was done on purpose, but in this novel, you're following a woman and her daughter, and they're trying to catch a serial killer. One day, the mom and daughter are at home and the daughter's like, "Oh my gosh, mom, look at the TV." And her mom turns to the TV and she sees basically a picture of herself, but it's a victim of this I-64 killer. So the mom starts thinking, "Oh my gosh, did I have a twin? I don't know." So she starts looking into this and starts becoming obsessed with this killer and trying to find out what she can about it. And she has all kinds of trauma from her childhood she's dealing with. And her daughter also kind of tries to help her mom solve this mystery. And it's just very suspenseful. And I obviously we're not giving away spoilers because this book is coming out so much later in the year. So we're limited to what we can say. But just let me say, there is a twins aspect to this book that kept my head thinking like, oh my gosh, could it be this? Could it be that? Like when you throw twins in there, you just never know. You just never know what could happen. At some point I was thinking, oh my gosh, are there triplets? Is this a triplets thing? Quadruplets? Who knows? But in all seriousness, oh my gosh, so good. The ending was so satisfying as well. I was so happy with the ending, but I'm telling you, you are on pins and needles when you get to the end of this book. You need to know what happens. And I couldn't stop putting this book. It just read like an addictive psychological thriller to me. I just really enjoyed it. And I think if you like dark and twisty, if you like psychological thrillers, if you like horror, then this is definitely a book you need to put on your radar for when it releases later this year.
Thanks for watching all our thoughts on Spider to the Fly by J.H. Markert, and until next time.